My shadow started breathing on its own. It didn't begin with a gasp, but with a slow, silent inhale that rippled across the wall in front of me. The true dread, the kind that settles deep in your bones, came much later, when I realized I could no longer remember what my silent, unmoving shadow used to look like. That period of my life I now see was a frayed wire waiting for a spark. It was late autumn, and the city was drowning in a cold, persistent drizzle that made the nights feel endless. I was a data analyst, which is a sterile way of saying I spent 10, sometimes 12 hours a day staring at spreadsheets until the numbers bled into meaningless patterns behind my eyelids. Exhaustion wasn't just a state, it was the lens through which I viewed the world, smudging the edges of everything into a tired gray blur. My walk home from the office was a ritual of numbness. The sodium lamps cast a sick orange glow on the wet asphalt, and their constant low hum was the only sound besides my own footsteps. It was on one of these walks, past midnight with a headache throbbing in time with the blinking crosswalk sign, that I first felt the twitch. Not in me, but beside me. A flicker in my periphery, a momentary distortion of the long, gaunt shadow that the streetlight stapled to my heels. It was as if it had flinched. I stopped, turning my head, but saw nothing. Just a gust of wind chasing a plastic bag down the empty street. I blamed my eyes, gritty and strained from the screen, and kept walking. My phone buzzed, a text from Sarah, probably asking if I'd eaten. I ignored it, too drained to even form a reply. The feeling was fleeting, but it left a residue. For the rest of the walk, I was hyper-aware of the dark shape trailing me. I watched the way it shortened and elongated as I passed under each light, the way its edges seemed almost to shimmer on the uneven pavement. I saw the shadow of a stray cat dart into an alley, and for an instant, its dark form seemed to pulse, to swell for a fraction of a second before it vanished. An optical illusion, that's what I told myself. The brain, when starved of sleep, is a notorious liar. It wasn't until I was in the suffocating silence of my apartment building's hallway that the lie fell apart. The hall was a long, featureless tunnel, painted a vaguely institutional beige and lit by a single, mercilessly bright fluorescent panel in the ceiling. As I fumbled for my keys, my shadow stretched out before me against the opposite wall, a perfect, sharp-edged silhouette. I froze, my key halfway to the lock. There it was again, a slow, deliberate expansion across the torso of the shadow, a swelling of the dark chest. It held for a moment, then with an unnerving smoothness, it contracted. It was a breath, a deep, silent, impossible breath. My own breathing hitched. I held it, my lungs burning, and watched. The shadow took another one. Inhale. Exhale. It was completely out of sync with my own frantic, shallow gasps. My heart hammered against my ribs, a frantic drumbeat in the dead quiet. This wasn't a flicker. This wasn't a trick of the light or a symptom of fatigue. This was a second pulse in the room, a second rhythm of life, and it was wearing my shape. Sleep offered no escape. It was just a dark room where I knew my shadow was waiting. In the days that followed, my apartment became a laboratory. I, the data analyst, would find the pattern, expose the glitch in the system. I unplugged the humming refrigerator, killed the breakers to silence the building's low-frequency thrum, and sat in absolute quiet, watching. I used a desk lamp, a flashlight, even a candle, charting the results in a frantic scrawl on a legal pad. The light source didn't matter. The angle didn't matter. The breathing breathing was always there, a steady, patient cadence that felt older than the concrete foundations of the city. My obsession became a wall between me and the world. When Sarah came over, her cheerful chatter about a difficult client felt like it was being broadcast from another planet. She found me standing in the middle of the living room, staring at the wall where our shadows merged under the ceiling light. "Everything okay, Liam?" she asked, her voice soft with a concern that I couldn't accept. "Just tired," I mumbled, stepping away so my shadow would detach from hers. A wave of something cold and proprietary washed over me. I didn't want it touching her. She noticed my strange, jerky movements, the way my eyes kept darting to the floor. She thought I was cracking under the stress of my job. In a way, she was right. The breaking point came on a Saturday. I needed sunlight. I needed to see it under the full, unfiltered glare of the midday sun, hoping the sheer power of a star would burn away the illusion. I walked to a public square, a place teeming with the comforting chaos of normal life. For a while, it worked. The sun was high, my shadow a small dark puddle at my feet, its movements too compressed to notice anything unusual. I felt a surge of relief so powerful it almost brought me to my knees. It was just exhaustion. It was all in my head. Then I sat on a bench to watch the world go by, and the angle of the light changed everything. A woman stood near a bus stop, talking on her phone, her shadow stretching long beside her on the pavement. I watched it, my breath held tight in my chest. And I saw it. The slow swell across the dark torso, the gentle contraction. My blood ran cold. My gaze snapped from her shadow to the next. A little boy chasing pigeons, his small frantic silhouette pulsing with each tiny dark breath. And the pigeons themselves, their fleeting shadows on the asphalt expanding and contracting for the split second they touched the ground before taking flight. The memory of the cat in the alley from that first night returned, a sudden, sharp spike of understanding. It wasn't a trick of my eyes. It had been breathing too. I stood up slowly, my legs feeling disconnected from my body. I was a ghost in my own life, the only person in this bustling square who could see it. I saw the rhythm everywhere, a universal, silent respiration connecting everything that cast a shadow. The trees, the lampposts, the buildings, the people, every single dark shape was alive with this secret, horrifying pulse. The world hadn't changed. I had. I was the one who had woken up to the quiet, constant murmur of the asphalt, and in doing so, I had been completely and irrevocably exiled from everyone else. It's a terrifying thought that the world has a fundamental rule you were never meant to see. The true horror isn't just the discovery, but the irreversible awareness that follows. You can never go back to that comfortable ignorance, to that time before you forgot what a silent, unmoving shadow was supposed to look like. That sense of quiet, permanent isolation is what makes stories like this so unsettling, and we thank you for exploring it with us here at Content Channel. It makes me wonder, if you were Liam in that final moment in the square, would you choose to tell Sarah and risk being seen as insane? Or would you carry the horrifying truth of the breathing world entirely on your own? Until we meet again, take care. Next time, we'll hear from an urban explorer who discovered that the echoes in abandoned subway tunnels weren't just sound, but memories playing on a loop.